right, welcome to another edition of the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. Robbie Rhodes coming to you here along with co-host Mark Willoughby. Week 5 of the college football season it is underway as we build towards Saturday. Conference home opener for your Southeastern Lions, and not all of the Southland Conference. Remember in week 0, Mark, you had the Nichols UIW game, a couple others mixed in there. So this is the first game for the Lions in the conference play, and they're hosting the newest member to the Southland Conference, also hosting a team having their first conference game. The University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, the Vaqueros, come to Hammond this Saturday, looking for their first win in conference play. A new program that been playing. I remember seeing them playing a lot of other sports for a long time, but adding football and just kind of looking at some of the numbers coming out of there. A lot of support in that part of the world for this program, and excited to get D1 football there in South Texas. So excited to have them in the league. They'll be in Hammond this week to take on the Lions in their conference opener. And it's now time for our special guest this week. It's brought to you each and every week by Gateway Ford in Ponchatoula. Go check them out and check all their inventory out at gatewayford.net. They have new, used inventory, all the best deals. They have their tire sale going on this week, so check them out at gatewayford.net. And as always, Gateway gives the deal. Our special guest this week is Bryan Ramos. He works for RGV Sports, covers the Vaqueros weekly. Bryan, thank you for spending some time with us and being with us tonight, and looking forward.
Hey guys, good to be here. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited to be here and excited to be a part of Division I football in some sort of way here in the Vaqueros inaugural season. So thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on. The Vaqueros, I think, doing it a little bit like Southeastern did it. You see some teams when they form. I mean, we've seen teams do it, like HCU, for example. I remember South Alabama, not in our league, but other Division I football program. They did it this way. They kind of have that first season where they play a kind of a shrunk down schedule, just kind of getting their feet wet. The Lions and the Vaqueros, similar when we brought football back after a short hiatus of it, we dove right into a full schedule. You guys are doing that as well, but you guys are doing even more, jumping right into Southland Conference play from the start. Just kind of put the boots on the ground for us down there, and the excitement. I think the fans kind of saw the excitement with your baseball program this past spring and how you guys packed the ballpark up down there. Just looking at the attendance numbers for the home games, looks like y'all are doing that for football as well. Just give us some boots on the ground on what the vibe is like down there in Edinburgh for this football team.
Yeah, it's really an unbelievable time down here. I mean, the UTRGV, of course, it used to be known as the University of Texas Pan American for years, and did a lot of good things in football and basketball back in the 60s and 70s, and then 80s and 90s. Baseball team was really good, and there was always a joke, you know what I mean? UTPA football is still undefeated because it didn't exist, and then now here we are. UTPA merged with University of Texas Brownsville, and that really gave UTRGV kind of that manpower, the backing to kind of, start testing the waters of D1 football here in the Valley. And then those talks started about 10 years ago, and now here we are 10 years later, and UTRGV football is a real thing. And it's been really cool just to see the buzz and excitement around this team. I mean, season tickets have been sold out. Their home stadium seats north of 12,500, and they've had 3 home games, 3 sellouts, and student tickets go in a jiffy. And there's just a real buzz, and people are really excited about UTRGV football and everything they got going on here. So the Rio Grande Valley has a football team, and the Rio Grande Valley is loving it.
You guys had almost 12,800 people for your opening game back on August 30th against Sul Ross State University. I think that when you start a program nowadays, as compared to, maybe 5-10 years ago, when you look at when Lamar brought football back and HCU and people like that in our league, the transfer portal is helping you guys, I think, be a little more competitive from the jump. Just talk about how they approach that from a staffing perspective and how they went out and got guys. I know, from what I understand, you have a really good NIL program going on down there right now as well. I had to help, but when they wanted to go attract some veteran guys, juniors and seniors, they were able to do that through the portal. Just talk about how the coaching staff approached that right now.
Yeah, no, it's kind of it's kind of crazy how times have changed because Coach Bush, the head coach Travis Bush here at UTRGV, he was part of building that UTSA football program up from the ground up there in 2010 and 2011, and there was no, you know what I mean, the transfer portal and the rules the way things are now, and I think that really has allowed UTRGV to, you know what I mean, put some real pieces together, and yeah, it's really made an impact. You've seen they have a few players come from Power Four experience. Plenty of guys from D1, FBS, and FCS programs scattered throughout the roster. So, and definitely some of those guys have made an impact. I know a lot of these guys. I was thinking about it earlier, but offensively, I mean, basically 10 of the 11 positions have been here since the spring. So some guys have transferred in. Some of them were here for the practice season last year. But Coach Bush has said, hey, we're going to try to recruit better, and we're going to try to bring in guys to where we think we have some holes to try to replace, and they've done that. And then of course they've brought in some guys that can't beat out those redshirt freshmen and guys that have been here for a year. So it's been kind of interesting to see it all come together. But a lot of these guys. Yeah, football. A lot of these guys that were here last year didn't play football. They were just part of a practice season. Got to go through several weeks. I think it was 3 weeks at a time, broken up to last fall. That's how they practice. And now here they are a year later, and they got some big time transfer portal guys from the transfer portal in the spring, in the winter portal, and the spring portal, and we're seeing some of them make an impact kind of right away. And it's allowed UTRGV to kind of build that roster and the team the way they Coach Bush had kind of imagined it.
You guys are on the road in week 2 at Prairie View A&M, so. You guys played 3 non-D1 opponents, but you had a road game against a D1 team and come out of there and you get a big win on the road. I mean, that had to go a long way, and I'm sure the coaching staff there at UTRGV is going to try to build and use some of that to kind of correlate between this game between Southeastern and the Vaqueros. Just talk about what you've seen in the first 4 games from this team as you watch them play.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, coming into week 5 in Southern Conference play, I mean, UTRGV has played one D2 team that had just moved up from D3. This is their first year in D2 in Sul Ross State. They beat them 66-0. And as you said, Prairie View A&M, their first D1 opponent, FCS, on the road in Prairie View, hostile environment. They got an awesome band that was, you know what I mean, that was loud and got that home crowd going. And UTRGV able to pull out a 27-21 win there. And then they beat Langston 80-0 last week, and then just this past weekend, Texas Wesleyan 61-13. So it's been kind of impressive. But I mean, yeah, once you get into the D1 FCS level, that's a whole nother beast. You know what I mean? We saw it week 2, and I know Prairie View. You know what I mean? They've had some ups and downs, but I mean they have some solid players. You know, and yeah. And now here we are with Southern Conference play, where there's I don't really think, there's not too many. There isn't an easy week on the schedule. You know what I mean? You guys have experienced it being here. I know you guys had a really good year last year, and so now UTRGV gets to experience it firsthand. And the one thing that Coach Bush has always said, dating back to the fall camp and summer and everything, is he's curious. You know what I mean? Curious about how they're going to look, how they're going to perform, and whether they're going to live up to these expectations and how they're going to execute when it comes to crunch time. And I think they did that first game. They did it first game on the road against a D1 opponent, Prairie View A&M, and now curious to see what Southern Conference play is like with some of the best teams here at the FCS level.
Mark, go ahead.
Well, of course, you guys obviously are doing it right, doing it the right way. I see your social media, different, I guess various entities have social media platforms out on Twitter, and doing a great job promoting your program. And it's $100 million football facility or whatever that you guys just built. That rivals anything probably in Power 5, I think, from what we saw. But I think you scheduled correctly. I mean, you got a couple of wins. You could, games you could count basically as wins. And then you jump up and play the FCS Prairie View before you get into conference play. So you kind of ease yourself into it a little bit this week. But let's talk about some of the leaders on your team. Obviously, Eddie Lee Marburger comes from UTSA. He's had some playing time at the FBS level. Talk about him. Seems to be a dynamic quarterback. You have some weapons on the outside. Just talk about those guys if you would.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Eddie Lee Marburger, he grew up here, maybe about 10, 15 minutes away from where the UTRGV Edinburgh campus is. He played at Sherryland Pioneer here in Mission, Texas. He was a stud quarterback. I mean, probably one of the best quarterbacks to come out of the Rio Grande Valley. I mean, dating back to like the Detmer brothers who went on into the NFL, and everything. But he spent a few years at UTSA, kind of behind Frank Harris, who had a phenomenal career there at UTSA, and really helping take that program to another level. So he got to sit behind him for a while. I know he valued that time and that experience playing with him. And then now it just so happened he was looking for a place he could play. UTRGV has this football team starting up. What better place than to come play than when you come back home? So these first few weeks, it's been awesome to see him get out there and play. Of course, he played plenty, in spot duty early at UTSA, and then was able to start some games later on in his career. But he's a guy that can, has a big arm, can make all the throws, and then as we've seen against Prairie View and this past week against Texas Wesleyan, he has a little bit some wheels to him. You know what I mean? So he's a little mobile too. So he's been it's been awesome to see kind of the Valley kind of rallying behind one of their own, because as you know, the hometown guys, they always get a lot of love. I'm sure they do it. Southeastern, wherever that is, the crowd has that affinity for those hometown guys. But it's been awesome to see him kind of lead that offense. He's been here since the spring. And then pretty much all the starting weapons outside of the running back position have been here since the spring. So they were a part of spring ball. They've been working with him. The running backs they have, they're from one of them transferred in from Yale. He's a graduate student, and the other one transferred in from Washington State. So those are their top two running backs, and they've formed a good combination so far, 1-2 punch. And then outside they run the spread. They got some athletes all over the field that have been here doing some good things, and it's been interesting to see that offense. Of course, right now they're ranked number 1 in the FCS in yardage, but it's they've played who they've played. So, but it's been cool to see that it all kind of takes shape. In the fall and last spring, you see, okay, how is it going to look when it comes to game time? And now here it is game time. So it's been cool to kind of see them all kind of grow and put up some points there together.
No, you still have to put the ball in the end zone regardless of who you're playing. But let's shift our attention to the other side of the ball. We see the gaudy offensive numbers, but you're not giving up very many points. I think giving up 8 points a game. Talk about the defensive side, if you would. Who should Lion fans be wary of for the Buccaneers?
Defensively, they run kind of a 3-4 hybrid. That's what Coach Bush and Coach Gamble, the defensive coordinator, call it. Coach Gamble played at Texas A&M, and he brings some good experience there to the defensive side of the ball. And now. So far, they have two shutouts, and then of course you play Prairie View A&M, give up 3 touchdowns there on the road. All 3 of them came on the ground. They had a mobile quarterback who kind of was able to do some damage there and find some holes in the defense. And then against Texas Wesleyan, they scored 1 defensive touchdown, 1 offensive touchdown kind of late in the game. But defensively, they play well. And the guy who's made some plays here these first few weeks is definitely defensive back Elijah Prosser. He's a redshirt freshman. He played high school football in Maynard, Texas. And he's been here since day one. They call them day ones. All the guys that were a part of that practice season and committed when there was no actual football team and they were just practicing, he's been here since then. He's he's the only redshirt freshman starting in the secondary for the Vaqueros, and he's made some big plays late. Had a pick 6 this past week against Prairie View A&M. UTRGV went up 27-21, and he had a big punch out. His nickname is Peanut. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Charles Peanut Tillman. So it was his own peanut punch, you know what I mean? But Elijah Prosser, definitely a guy, and they have some really good players. They brought in some big guys, cornerbacks in the transfer portal, guys that joined in the summer. I know that was a big emphasis that Coach Bush wanted to build up, and they did that. And then defensive line, they've been doing damage, against who they've played against, and then they held their own against Prairie View A&M. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that all comes together against a tough Southeastern team.
You obviously, what is the fan base? Texas and football. Everybody knows how good it is, how much they care about it. And I know this coaching staff and this team prepare every single week to go win every game, win the league. I heard Coach Bush is. I guess his weekly television show. It seemed like they were picked to finish. He kept saying we picked to finish last in this league, and I think he kind of understood why. But I think that made me a little chip on his shoulder. But obviously, you want to go win the conference title in your first year, show everybody you belong. But down there, what do you think people's true expectations will be this year? If they could find a way to go aside from that great season of winning the league, but if they went 3-5 or so to speak in conference play this year, would the fans down there see that as a victory in the first year, or do they really expect them to compete from the start, to win, have a chance to win the league?
It's been interesting to see, kind of the buzz grow. And people just, okay, what are we going to look like once we get out there? And then they come out and beat Sul Ross State 66-0 in the first game. And everybody's like, hey, we want Bama, we want Ohio State, kind of just all facetiously and joking around, But no, it's been interesting to see just kind of the buzz and the fandom around it. I think, going 4-0, I don't know how many people thought they would go 4-0. I'm not sure how many people really knew the opponents that UTRGV would play and the quality, only one D1 FCS team. But at this point now, I think they expect UTRGV to be competitive. They held their own and were able to come out on top in their first D1 test on the road against FCS opponent. And I know they have their work cut out for them. I'm definitely familiar with the Southland Conference and a lot of how the quality of football that's played there and the guys that have come out of there. But now with UTRGV, I know the coaching staff is familiar with the Southland as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they can compete. But like Coach Bush said, I think he said it, he closed out his last press conference like, hey man, or the post-game press conference this past Saturday after their win, he said, you guys know where they picked us, so we got nothing to lose. So they're going to come out and, they're going to give them hell, and I know they're going to have to, because the Southland Conference has some quality football and some quality football players and teams. So it's going to be interesting how UTRGV can stack up against them.
Yeah, no doubt. In this league, every year it's tough. Last year I think we went 6-1 last year, and every game was a knockdown, drag out. It seems like physically for sure. Nothing's a given in this league, no doubt. But that's great stuff, Bryan. You guys coming to Hammond this week? This will be the first really true. You went to Prairie View. That's about a 4 or 5 hour drive from down there. This is a much longer trip. Double that at least. And are you guys expecting to have some fans travel? I know this will be the first big road game, first conference game. Do you expect UTRBG to travel well on the road?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know for Prairie View, like you said, it's about a 5.5 hour drive from down here up there, and there was a good little show, a good showing of fans out there. And now now heading over to Hammond on Saturday, it's going to be interesting to see. I know the UTRGV roster has guys all from the Houston area, around that northeast kind of Texas area, and really all around there. So for them, for most of those guys, it's like about a 5, 6, 7 hour drive for them to get down here to see the parents, to see their kids play, or their right. family and friends. And so it may be a similar drive, heading over to Hammond for them, being right. that Texas so big, and they might be a little closer. So it'll be interesting to see. But I know one thing that Coach Bush said heading into that Prairie View game was they're going to have to bring their own energy, because you're on the road, you're up against it. Yeah. The fans, the student section, the home crowd, and that home field advantage. So they're definitely going to have to bring their own energy up against a really good Southeastern team that has looked good here to start the season.
Well, that is some great stuff, Bryan. I think that we've been in this league a long time, Southland Conference. We've been doing this a long time. Mark and I covering the Lions. This league has added some people that you kind of question and say, why the heck did we do that? Maybe it wasn't a good ad, but there's no doubt that UTRGV being added to the Southland Conference was a great ad for this league, and is going to boost the immediate boost to this league. And we're looking forward to many games against them in various sports as we come. And we appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it, and looking forward to Saturday's game.
Absolutely. That's Bryan Ramos. He covers the Vaqueros for RGV Sports. That's your Gateway Ford interview segment today. We'll come back with more after this. Break down LSU last week and look ahead to this one here on the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. All right, welcome back to the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. I want to thank Bryan Ramos. He covers the Vaqueros for RGV Sports, Rio Grande Valley Sports. Covers the newspaper down there, just a conglomerate of media resources covering the Vaqueros in all sports. They'll be at the game covering the game in Hammond this weekend. So, Mark, you had a lot of good insight on where this program's coming from, kind of getting people to know about them, because it is a mystery to some people because they're a new team, just as it was a mystery when the first time you played HCU, the first time you played Abilene. They're not startups, but I'm just talking about new teams to the league, over the course of time, UIW, things like that. So, they're going to be a hungry team. I think their coach has a chip on his shoulder, not in a bad way, but just like he wants to go out and prove that his team can compete. And, I think that, I think they're going to have a chance to win some games in the Southland this year. Obviously they got to stay healthy and things got to go their way, but they could win this weekend for sure. You can't ever overlook an opponent, but I think they're going to have a chance to be in some games and have a chance to win a couple Southland games this year for sure. And I'd be surprised if they finish last in the league, but we'll see what happens. But great visiting with Bryan. A lot of insight on the game this weekend.
Yeah, I was excited. Hang on here. I've lost my thing. I was excited to get him on. I've been following his work, since the season began, and really even before that, just trying to follow the startup of the program. And it's always fun when you get a new entity, a new program in the league, especially starting football for the first time, just to see how they embrace it, how they fund it, and how they go about it. And they're doing it the right way, as I told him. Obviously, have just built a brand new facility. It's like over $100 million. It again rivals probably anything in Power 5 football, and certainly FCS for sure. Just took over a brand new soccer stadium that was already existing, converted that into a football stadium. It's top notch. Instantly one of the best venues in the Southland Conference for sure. And again, the fan base that was already there. We saw that in baseball, so it's fun to see how they've embraced this. And again, they're going to get a little, not to put this the wrong way or sound the wrong way, but they're going to get a little dose of reality this week as conference starts, because it's going to escalate. Obviously, the athleticism and the talent level. Again, it's going to be something they haven't seen yet, even from Prairie View. So it's something that I know they've been embracing and bracing for as a program. But I do agree with you. I think they are going to win some games, and because they have done it the right way. They've set back a year, kind of built the program, didn't play, brought in some transfers. You got the resources there. So they have some players who are Southland Conference quality already, or better even in some spots. And so they're going to be able to challenge people. Now, are they going to be able to win the league? That's a tall order to say that about anybody. But I do think they're not going to finish last. I don't think anybody believes that at this point. But I think most people understand why they were picked last. I mean, it's a new program, so you have nothing to go on.
Right
now, we do. I think if you re-ranked it now, they would get be voted much higher in the league. So excited to play them.
I think that the opportunity there for this team to get off to a good start in conference play. If you go back to some previous seasons, Mark, you look at the 2022 season, first conference game, you have the walk-off against UIW to win that ball game, and you kind of springboarded you the rest of the way. Obviously, you would fall to East Texas A&M, but you played good football the rest of the season. have a chance to get the home crowd behind you early on. Haven't been able to see this team much over 4 weeks, so only your second home game in 5 weeks. So be excited to get the fans in there to see this team play their first conference game, and try to get off to a good, confident start, because you got to go on the road to probably one of the most historically difficult venues to play in the Southland and FCS football. McNeese, we'll cover that next week. So it's good to get that one under your belt. Go play good football. The Vaqueros are not going to lay down by any means in this ball game. So you have to go play and execute in a good way, but I think a good chance that the Lions go do their thing. They can execute offensively and defensively, and hopefully they can come away with a decisive win this Saturday to get off to a 1-0 start in conference play.
You talked about Travis Bush with a chip on their shoulder being picked last. I think this program has a chip on its shoulder also, because I think everybody that follows this program and covers this program like we do probably realize this may be Frank Selfo's best football team across the board: offense, defense, special teams, and obviously the senior leadership. This is a veteran football team with a ton of seniors, a ton of older guys that are bitter. This is a team that was left out of the playoffs last year. I feel like they felt like they belonged last year, didn't get in. Even though you finished 6-1, you lost by 3 to UIW and then 3 to Tarleton State. We see what they're doing right now. And nobody in the country is talking about this football team. They're 2-2. You have 2 FBS losses and 2 blowout wins over FCS competition. And so I think there's a chip there on this team, and especially coming out of LSU. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Obviously, going over this past weekend, playing the number 3 team in the country. The score wasn't what you wanted, 56-10, but we saw a lot of positives in that football game from a competitive standpoint, as far as physicality, especially defensively, and did some things offensively against their backup defense. Their defense at LSU is probably as good a personnel as there is in the country. And even
the best defense we've ever faced.
No question. And their backups will be better than anybody Southeastern sees this year at any playoffs or not. And you score 10 points in the second half, score 2 out of 4 drives against quality players. So there was a lot of positives to take out of that football game. So I think going into this ball game on Saturday against UTRGV, this is a Southeastern team that's on a mission. And I've sensed that since the first day of camp. And now they got the pre-conference schedule out of the way. It's time to get down to business.
All right, hit on LSU quickly, Mark. I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but the Lions did fall in that one, 56-10. Played in front of the biggest crowd in Lion history, 102,219 fans in Tiger Stadium Saturday night. A lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's bigger than a lot of cities, So pretty cool for. And it was full. It was packed. I mean, you were in there. I was in there. It wasn't a situation where Tiger fans coming on 3 straight road games. And saw the opponent didn't show up. They packed it, and it was a full venue. Saw a lot of Lion fans. There was a lot of green and gold mixed. Obviously, you kind of have that southeast corner of Tiger Stadium is historically where that visiting team, whether you're an SEC opponent or a Southland opponent, sits, and that was a full pack swath of green and gold fans, and then it was mixed in all over the stadium. I ran into a couple people just kind of randomly in my walk. I had about a 2-mile walk to Tiger Stadium from where I parked, and just ran into a couple fans who were wearing green and gold and said, I'm normally here tailgating for the Tigers. I'm a fan every week. I have season tickets to LSU, but I'm wearing this today because I went to Southeastern. And you can debate on whether your thoughts on that, but at least that's a great thing that they're doing it the right way when the Lions
came to shove. When push came to shove, they wore the green and gold.
I met two guys, and they straight up came up to me to tailgate and said, we're here every week. We're in purple and gold. I haven't been to Strawberry Stadium in years. I'm an LSU fan, I admit it, but I went to Southeastern, and I'm wearing this today. And one guy told me he had just ordered the shirt, and it came in on like Tuesday or something like that. But I was like, hey, at least you're doing it the right way tonight, and that's cool. So, look, it's always good for the state. Look, at Coach Selfo doesn't like playing these games. I don't think anybody does. They're a necessary evil, so to speak. But I do think for the fan base, they're prideful that, when I'm walking in there, I'm prideful to walk among, because it's easy to be a Tiger fan if you live around here. It's easy, right? It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and roll with it. But I'm proud to walk around and say, I'm a Lion. That's who I support. That's where I went to school. It's where my wife went to school. I was a student athlete here. And so I think for our fans, there's a little bit of that. No, I think people have that. Like, I'm proud to walk amongst these people and be a proud Lion fan at the big flagship venue in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think anybody, there's always going to be pride in your university. There should be. Hopefully there is. And of course, the key is to get those fans who are former LSU or Southeastern students who go to LSU games every week, try to get them to Strawberry Stadium a little bit more often. But that's neither here nor there. But again, it was a great night. And again, the scoreboard, is what it is. I mean, that was expected going in. You hope to keep them. I think I talked off the air about what I felt like a win would be, a tie, a loss. And I felt like if you had a score similar to 2018, it was 31-0 that year against that Joe Burrow-led football team that eventually won the national championship in 2019. Felt like if you could repeat that performance.
They won the Fiesta Bowl that year.
They did that particular year and then won the national championship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was a good team.
Players. Yeah. So a very good team. You lose 31-0. But again, that year and this year, totally incomparable, because Ed Orgeron was not going to run the score up. He played the starters the whole game, but they ran base vanilla. Of course, we hit Joe Burrow in the mouth. I don't know how many times Isaac Berglund got sacks, and we hit them to where they quit throwing the football. But they were trying to get the game over with. They won 31-0. This game on Saturday night, Brian Kelly was trying to run Southeastern out of the building. I think that was obvious. They were chunking it from the word go. They're going 5 wides. They're going for it on 4th down. Even when they put the backups in, they're trying to score. They were trying to make a statement because of obviously taking a lot of criticism the first 3 weeks, not winning enough and not being able to run the ball well enough, not being able to throw it well enough and that sort of thing. So I felt like they had a mission and something to prove. And it didn't matter. They weren't, they didn't carry the Southeastern, who it was. So they scored 56 and tried to score 56. The thing that I was impressed with Southeastern is they were methodical drives. The first drive they scored on was 45 yards and 13 plays.
Took 5:18 off the clock.
5:18 off the clock to go 45 yards. They had to convert on 4th down, 3rd and long. And of course, it was that way all night. And then the other thing I was very impressed with, we rushed 4 all night. I don't think we sent more than 4 the entire night. Ran a couple of zone blitzes. I know one time we brought a safety as the 4th guy, dropped a guy in coverage, a defensive end. They ended up holding our safety and got a holding call. So we basically set back vanilla all night and just covered. But the one thing we did is when they caught the football, we tackled. They didn't break. They had very few yards after contact. They didn't run the ball well at all. They had a couple of direct runs that might have got 8-10 yards, but really it was quarterback scrambles was most of their running game. We controlled. Can't say we controlled the line of scrimmage, but we did a really good job against the number 3 team in the country defensively. And they scored 56 points. They're LSU, and Southeastern didn't do enough on offense to get the football back to eat up some clock. But you made them work for their points, and they tried to score the football. And so I think you got to feel good about that on the defensive side. On the offensive side, as I mentioned earlier, against their starters, no chance. They lock up on the outside. Their corners are as good as there is in the world at the college level. Their front 4 is outstanding. They run, they hit. They blitz. They come from everywhere. We just didn't have a chance in that environment to move the football early. But when they put their backups in, who are still really good players, they're still blitzing. They're still doing all the same things. We show we can move the football and score. So I came away. I thought we covered in special teams extremely well. They had no explosives in special teams. They didn't no block punts, no turnovers that scored the other way. We didn't turn the football over. And we kept the penalties to a minimum, although a couple of them were critical in the game. So overall, I came out of there feeling just as good as I did going in, even though the score is what it is.
Yeah, if you take out the 2 sacks by Caleb Proctor of Garrett Nussmeier, Tiger quarterbacks rushed for 46 yards in the game out of 135 yards of rushing yards. They had no back over 50 yards. They held the LSU running backs to. Johnson had 43 yards. Barry had 28. Durham had 17.
How many carries?
Rushes.
I'm not looking at the stats.
Johnson had 8 carries in the game. 8 carries for 43 yards. So averaging about 5.4 yards a carry. Not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad at all against the Southland team, but not against what you would think would be an SEC back and an SEC offensive line, a top 3 team, so very impressive on what you were saying in the passing game. To your point about the drives, Mark. Look, you talk about that opening drive, 13 plays, but then they went 7, 8, 8, and 7 again. Their next scoring drives for touchdowns, and then Van Buren in the fourth quarter. He took him on a 16-play, 81-yard drive, took 7 minutes and 5 seconds, and don't think they were being methodical at that point in the game, Mark. Brian Kelly was going, hurry up, chucking it around, and the line of defense held him. They went for it on 4th down. That's right. So I think they had...
Let's back up. Okay, here's their scoring drive. Here's their drives. 5 yards, three plays, 5 yards, 13:45, 7:44, had one 7:74, 57:56. In the first half, they had one drive that was over half the field, and that was the 74-yard drive. But again, they're converting 3rd and longs, 4th down conversions in there. I mean, they had to execute. It wasn't like they're just lining up and handing the ball off, running 40 yards down the field, throwing over our heads, blocking punts. I mean, they had to work for it, and I guess that's the thing you can take out of it if you're a Lion fan.
They were 3 of 3 on 4th down. So you think a Power 5 team, especially one of the top 3 in the country, having to be forced into 3 4th downs. They did get them all, but that's it. So closing the book on LSU, moving away. Good day for the fan base. Good day for the Lions in a lot of capacities, but certainly one Coach Shelfo and his group wants to focus on the next thing, which is conference play, which starts this week. Mark, you talked about the Vaqueros earlier. Real quickly, just your thoughts to victory this weekend.
Well, I think, you just got to put LSU behind you, and you got to focus on the now and the future. And the now is URTGV coming in. It's an upstart program. They got a lot of pride in what's going on down there. They've had success. This is a team that hasn't really struggled. I mean, you had a little bit of a struggle against Prairie View. They were up 17-0, fell behind 21-20, I think, and then had to rally back and win it in the final 2 minutes. So, they face some adversity on the road and were able to overcome it. Now, this will be far and away the most talented football team they have seen. Southeastern, way better than Prairie View physically and talent-wise. So it's going to be a huge step up for them coming over here, but they've got a lot of pride, a lot of confidence. You have coaches that have coached in this league before. Travis Bush was, coached at Texas State for a long time. He's familiar with Southeastern. He's been to Hammond. A lot of guys on their staff have coached in the Southland Conference as well. So they know this league. They know how to attack it. And again, in coaching, you're familiar with the Southland Conference overall. So they're not going to be intimidated. They got a veteran quarterback as a 5th-year senior who can throw the football. They got some wide receivers who can catch it. So Southeastern's not going to be able to walk out there and think they have a layup. They're going to have to, play hard and come out. But this team will. One thing about this football team, again, throughout fall camp, throughout every week of practice, throughout the first 4 games of the season, they have practiced well. They've been focused, and I expect them to show up focused and ready to play on Saturday. We'll see what happens on the scoreboard, but good to be back home and good to get the league started.
6 o'clock kickoff in Strawberry Stadium. Looking forward to it. The Lions and the Vaqueros of URTGV to open up Southern Conference play. Can't wait for that one, and it should be a fun day to get back in Strawberry Stadium for the home opener of conference play. So, Mark, great job as always. Thank you for your time. We'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, talking about a win against the Vaqueros, getting off to a 1-0 start in the Southland Conference, and looking ahead to the McNeese State Cowboys down the road in Lake Charles the first Saturday in October. I want to thank Bryan Ramos, who is our special guest this week. He covers the Vaqueros for RGV Sports. Did a great job breaking this one down. So thanks everybody who makes this possible. We'll talk to you next week. This has been a presentation of the Southeastern Sports Network Productions. We'll talk to you next week, guys. Have a good one.
Line up.